All right, today we are cracking open the FinTech Revenue Playbook. We're going to explore the four main models that can literally make or break a new financial tech company. So let's dive right in. So imagine this. You've done it. You have spent months, maybe years, coding, designing, and finally launching this fantastic FinTech product. But now you're facing the one question every single founder has to answer. How are you actually going to get paid for all that work? Choosing how to charge for your product, it is so much more than just slapping a price tag on it. It's a really deep strategic choice. It's this delicate dance between the real value you provide, how your users perceive that value, the timing of when you ask for money, its relevance to them, and this is the big one in fintech, their trust. So here's the journey we're going on today. First, we'll talk about why this is way more than a price tag. Then, we'll look at predictable versus flexible revenue. We'll unpack the incredible power of free. Then, I'll give you a framework for figuring out which model is right for you. And we'll finish up by talking about why this decision is never, ever set in stone. Okay, let's start with that first big idea. Understanding why this is so much more than just a price. Getting this right from day one is absolutely crucial for your entire strategy. And that brings us to our first major fork in the road, right? The choice between predictable revenue and flexible revenue. We're talking about the two classic workhorses of the entire digital economy, subscription and pay-per-use. First up, the subscription model. You know this one, it's simple, it's clear, everybody gets it. You pay a fixed, recurring fee, maybe it's monthly, maybe it's annually, and you get access to the service. That's it. The thing about the subscription model is that it fundamentally shifts your entire way of thinking. Success is no longer about a one-time transaction. It's about this continuous cycle of value. The goal here is to create predictable, recurring revenue by delivering so much ongoing value that customers are actually happy to stick around. Your focus shifts from just getting customers in the door to keeping them for the long haul. But listen, you can't just set it and forget it. That's not how this works. A really successful subscription model needs constant attention. You have to communicate your value clearly, offer flexible tiers for different users, be totally transparent with your pricing, constantly improve the product, and make the whole experience from sign up to even cancellation absolutely seamless. Okay, but what if your users have wildly different needs? Some are power users, others just dip their toes in. Well, that brings us to the pay-per-use model. The logic here is totally different. You only pay for what you actually use. Maybe that's per transaction, per API call, whatever it is. And right here, this is the central trade-off. For your user, it feels incredibly fair, right? They have total control. They only pay for what they get. But for the business, oh man, aligning your revenues so directly with usage can lead to some serious volatility. A slow month for your users is a slow month for your revenue, period. All right, now let's talk about one of the most powerful words in marketing, free. This brings us to two models that are less about making money right away and more about getting a massive number of users in the door, freemium and free trials. First up, freemium. This is where you have a basic version of your product that's free forever. The whole goal is to eventually convert just a tiny fraction of those millions of free users into paying premium customers. And let's be really clear about this. Freemium is a marketing strategy, not a revenue strategy. Its main job isn't to get paid by everyone. It's to drop the barrier to entry to zero and just grow like crazy. But, and this is a really big but, freemium is an incredibly tough strategy to pull off. It only works if you meet certain conditions. The cost to support one more free user has to be practically nothing. Your free version needs to be a perfect, natural on-ramp to a compelling paid version. And you absolutely need a massive user base for that tiny conversion percentage to actually be profitable. So, what's the other flavor of free? That's the free trial. Now, this is a totally different beast. It's not about giving away a limited product forever. It's about giving away the full product for a limited time. The strategic goal here is simple: conversion. You let users experience the full wow factor, get them hooked, and make their decision to buy a whole lot easier when that trial clock runs out. So let's just break this down side by side because it's super important. Freemium gives you limited features for an unlimited amount of time. Its goal is long-term user acquisition. A free trial, on the other hand, gives you all the features, but for a very limited time. Its goal is a quick conversion. See the difference? Both are powerful, but they solve completely different business problems. Okay, so we've got all these options on the table: subscription, pay-per-use, freemium, free trial. How in the world do you choose? let's walk through a practical decision framework to help you figure out what makes sense for your company. It really all comes down to one simple question. What is your primary goal? If your answer is predictable revenue and building high lifetime value, then the subscription model is probably your best bet. If you want to perfectly align cost with value, then you should look at pay-per-use. If it's all about mass market adoption and just scaling as fast as humanly possible, then freemium is the path, but only if you meet all those tough prerequisites. And if your product's value isn't obvious until someone really uses it, well, a free trial is the perfect tool for that job. And finally, let's wrap up by talking about the future. Because the choice you make today isn't necessarily the choice you'll have tomorrow. Here are 3 core principles for long-term success that you've got to remember. Your model has to be dynamic, not static.
Principle number 1, there is no single best model, period. There's no magic bullet here. The right choice is always a reflection of your unique product, your specific market, and your strategic goals. What works like a charm for one company could be a total disaster for another. Second, please be really careful with freemium. I want to double down on this one. It is not a silver bullet. It's so tempting, but without that massive scale and a crystal clear, compelling reason for people to upgrade, it can just become a giant cash-burning machine that supports millions of free users without ever turning a real profit. And finally, and this might be the most important point of all, your revenue model is not set in stone. It can't be. As your company grows, as your customers change, as the entire market shifts, your model has to be ready and willing to evolve right along with it. So the final question I want to leave you with isn't just which model is right for you today. It's, as the world changes, how will you evolve your model to win tomorrow?